They say that deep in the forests of New England, there's a house older than the nation itself. Its timber creaks not just with age, but like tired old bones, and its windows. They have a way of watching you, no matter where you stand. The locals have a name for it, the House by the Well. It is a place where whispers cling to the air like morning mist and history refuses to be buried. The story goes that the house was built over 3 centuries ago by a family who simply vanished. It was as if they signed the deed and were swallowed by the earth, leaving behind an empty home. For years it stood vacant until an old man moved in. He was a bitter, solitary soul, and the townsfolk say he spent his days hunched over the stone well in the backyard, talking to it. And every night from the depths of that well, something answered back. When he eventually died, there was no one to claim his body. But some whisper he never really left the property at all. Behind the house stands that very same well, a structure of cold stone that seems to have existed forever. Its water is as black as a starless night. In the old days, children would dare each other to peer into its abyss. Most would run back screaming, their faces pale with terror. But one child never came back at all. The locals believe the well isn't just a deep hole in the ground. They say it's a gateway, a connection to somewhere else, a place where lost souls are trapped, waiting for someone to hear their pleas. Decades passed, and the stories faded into local legend, dismissed as superstition. That is, until a woman named Tracy Sierra bought the house. She laughed at the ghost stories, thinking them nothing more than small-town folklore. But her nights in that house would soon prove her tragically wrong. It began subtly, with noises she couldn't explain. Footsteps pacing in the attic above her bed, even though she lived completely alone. Then came the voices. At first, they were just soft, fleeting whispers, like the sound of someone breathing right beside her in the dark. But they grew bolder, louder, until they were calling her name from the direction of the well. She was terrified, but also determined to get proof. She tried to record the sounds, but every single time her camera would mysteriously power down. One day, while repairing a loose floorboard, she discovered a bundle of old, decaying letters hidden beneath the floor. The ink was faded, the handwriting shaky and desperate. One letter read, "The voices won't stop. They know I'm here. The well wants me." Another page contained a stark, terrifying warning. "Do not feed the well." Following a hunch, Tracy traced the source of a draft in the basement to a hidden door she'd never noticed before. Behind it, a set of stone stairs descended into absolute blackness. At the bottom, she found it, the old well sealed shut with a heavy stone slab. But as she stood there in the chilling silence, she was certain she could hear something moving just beneath the stones. The house, it seems, has a deep-seated hatred for silence. The neighbors who live close enough to see the property claim that every night, at exactly 3:13 a.m., a single deliberate knock echoes from the well's sealed lid. Sometimes it's followed by faint, disembodied laughter. Other times by the sound of a woman weeping. One neighbor swore on his life that he saw a figure standing by the well one moonless night. He described it as pale, dripping wet, and whispering 2 words over and over. "Come closer." The man hasn't spoken a coherent sentence since that night. If you're brave enough to find out what happened next and to hear more stories from the shadows, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, because once you start listening to the darkness, you might find that the darkness starts listening back. The last night Tracy Sierra ever spent in that house was the most terrifying. She was woken by the sound of dripping water coming from upstairs. When she went to investigate, she saw black, oily liquid seeping through the ceiling beams and pooling on the floor. As she looked down into the dark puddle, she saw her own reflection staring back up at her. Only this reflection was smiling, a wide, unnatural grin, even as her own face was frozen in horror. She turned and ran for the front door, but the house wouldn't let her escape. Every window slammed shut at once. Every light in the house died, plunging her into total darkness. And from the basement, that same chilling voice rose again, no longer whispering but demanding, "Feed me." The next morning, the house was empty once more. Tracy Sierra was gone. When the authorities searched the property, the neighbors said the water in the well was murky, and just below the surface, something was floating. Something that glinted in the light, something that looked exactly like the ring Tracy always wore. Even now, they say if you stand by that well at the stroke of midnight, you won't hear one voice but two. One is begging for help, her cries lost in the wind. The other is asking for silence. So let me ask you, if you heard your name whispered from that darkness, would you be brave enough to answer? Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tales that lurk in the dark. We'll see you next time.